What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Rob's house. We got another mod for the Corvette today. I'm gonna jump right into it. So, I was at the Corvette Expo and I actually saw this top at Melrose Corvette's booth. Shout out to Melrose Corvette for hooking me up with this awesome carbon fiber top. This is an actual OEM GM top. I've already went ahead and actually, I'm not gonna lift it up because it's just kind of resting on the on the seats of the Viper, but I've already went ahead and swapped the headliner actually so that I have my Alcantara headliner in here that goes with the rest of the interior in the Corvette. I'm not sure if you guys knew this about the Corvette, but I do have, like, for example, the Alcantara, you can't really see it on camera right now, but Alcantara, like, A-pillars, the sunshades, the middle of the seat is Alcantara, the grips on the steering wheel, the shifter bezel, surround, all that stuff is Alcantara in the interior, so of course I wanted it to match. This came with the standard cloth headliner, so I went ahead, like I said, and swapped those out. Those headliners on the Targas are actually just glued on, so you kind of have to take your time to, like, kind of peel them off if you don't want to ruin them. Like, if you just rip it too hard, you'll actually tear it. If you take your time taking it off, you can actually remove it and not lose the foam. It's actually like foam with like a plastic exterior. The one that was in this top, so the regular headliner, I lost a little bit of the foam on the way. It like started like cracking and peeling a couple times, so you just kind of like stop, dig that up, and like keep going. So it flaked a little bit. If you did this enough times, eventually the headliner would get destroyed. But fortunately, I was able to get my Alcantara one off in one piece, like almost perfectly actually, and install it into this top. The way that I installed it, rather than gluing it into the top, because I'm not sure exactly what kind of glue they use, and I didn't want to use something like super glue or Gorilla Glue where it would be totally impossible to remove. So I used 3M double-sided tape, which is pretty strong stuff, but at least I could dig the tape up if I got something under it and, you know, remove the top if I had to. So anyway, we got that, and then of course, having that, I had the idea of like, okay, we're gonna put it on the Corvette. We'll redo the camo pieces. I kind of don't really like how this stripe came out. I was trying to kind of like line up with the two tan spots in the back, but I don't know, it just kind of, I feel like this side came out too thin and I'm just not loving it. So I think I'm actually going to go back to my old look where I didn't have this middle stripe. I kind of just had the green here, the bronze there, and then the green kind of, you know, dripping off the other side to you know, match the sides of the car. What I was trying to do with this middle stripe was I was trying to connect this to the two back pieces, but honestly, I don't think I have enough surface area to make this side like as wide as I would want it. Like, I feel like I would have no gap in here. It would just like kind of look weird. So anyway, I might just kind of not redo that part. But with that said, notice that the top of your Corvette is actually two pieces. We have our Targa top, and then we have this piece, which is called a halo cover. I actually didn't know that. In my last Cars and Coffee video, we were looking at my friend Lee's car, and I said he has this carbon fiber, I don't even know what this piece is called. Well, I talked to him after I made that video, and he informed me that it's called a halo cover, so I didn't know that. So in case you didn't know that, that's what those are called. So I went ahead and ordered one of those from Extreme Online Store. Again, I know that, you know, I just have parts kind of hanging on the Viper, but this kind of just made it an easy way to lay it out without worrying about damaging anything. I didn't want to lay it on the floor or whatever, but anyway, I have this awesome carbon fiber halo cover. So we're going to be installing the halo cover today. The Targa top is ready to go. It, you know, obviously just clips right in. They're readily removable, really easy. This is just a general sort of PSA about carbon fiber parts. Carbon fiber, for those of you who don't know, comes in a number of different weaves. So the weave thickness, whether it's a 1x1, 2x2, whatever, those numbers refer to the actual thickness of the weave. So if you notice, like, we have one weave pattern on this GM top. If you look at this fake stripe that I have on my hood, for example, it's mimicking what real carbon fiber would look like. This would be like a bigger weave, like fatter pieces of carbon, if you will. So you want to make sure that the weave kind of matches up if two things are going to be right next to each other, right? And the other thing is the direction of the weave. And unfortunately, it's not going to work out with what I've bought, but that's okay. I'm not that worried about it. I'm not this meticulous, but if you notice, the weave directions are kind of going the opposite way between these two pieces. That's okay. I don't really mind because the weave is the same size, so it's not going to bother me that much, but that is just something worth noting that those are the two things you got to pay attention to when you're trying to match up carbon fiber parts that might not be coming from the same manufacturer. So in this case, this is actually a GM top. This is OEM. And in this case, my halo bar is not a GM halo bar. This is from Extreme Online Store. This kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to look like installed. So basically we have some holes we're going to have to drill out of this guy. But basically we're going to take the target top off. We're going to actually remove the weather stripping on the outside. And then if I pull the hatch up here, you can kind of see, obviously my OEM halo is red because my card's red. It's got a bunch of bolts in there. So we're going to take those off. And then you kind of have to just sort of wiggle it out. Not super easy because as you can see, the trunk kind of like hangs over it a little bit. So everyone says just like kind of be patient. You got to kind of finagle it. Like I don't really know how else better to describe it. So let me get this targa off though real quick, and I will show you how to remove the weather stripping, because that's the first thing that we're gonna have to take off so that we can expose all of the bolts toward the front of the car that actually hold the halo on. If you notice on the halo bar, this is gonna be the back piece because it's recessed, right? But there are still bolt holes along this other side. That is the side that faces the front of the car, right? So we gotta get to those, and obviously the weather stripping is in the way, so we gotta get that off. The weather stripping is actually not that difficult to remove. So let me just take this target top off real quick and I will show you what we're working with. All right guys, there's a couple things we gotta take off here. If you notice, there's two holes here and there are these two stubs sticking out. These are just plastic clips. You can use your trim removal pry tool to get them off. Just be patient. Obviously use a plastic one, do not use a metal one. You'll dig right into this paint, so that's no good. Now, one thing that wasn't obvious to me is that there's actually a screw back here on both sides. So this all started just peeling off as soon as I got these two clips off. And I kind of yanked it and broke off this plastic tab in here that had a screw connected to it. So anyway, this screw was holding it in place, and there is you can kind of see where I broke the plastic. There's a little plastic tab here. I think what I'm gonna do when I reconnect it is I'm just gonna turn this the other way and just kind of like tighten it until it jams the plastic against the rubber so that it won't move. That's my bad. I didn't take the other side off yet, but I just wanted to show you guys that so you don't make that mistake. Now, it's really easy to break that too. I really wasn't pulling with much force, and I just heard like a snap and it came off because I was just kind of working my way up the rubber, trying like kind of pulling it out. And I felt like a little resistance, but not a lot. And I just heard like snap, and I was like, oh crap, what did I break? Turns out I broke this little plastic tab. I could probably glue it back together, but like I said, I think if I just turn it the other way and tighten it, it'll hold the rubber in there. But anyway, there's one of those on each side of the top. It looks like that's all that holds this guy in. So it's pretty similar to the C6 Corvette. I had watched a video on that. Yeah, this is all just coming right out. So anyway, we'll hit the other side where we have that other screw. But as you can see, this is actually where those bolts go that hold that front side of the halo cover on. So now what I am gonna have to do, fortunately, they have this retaining bar. I don't remember if the C6 has this bar or not. What matters is, as long as you drill these tabs out that are already like kind of stamped for you, as long as you drill those out, you're gonna have this bar here that'll hold them down. So even if you actually accidentally drill one of the holes too big, it's not gonna matter because you have this bar that holds the weather stripping on there that you're actually screwing the screws into. So you don't have to stress too much. If anything, I think, I will confirm this later in the video, but I think we can actually drill the holes a little bit bigger just in case so that we can shimmy the halo around and get it centered nicely on the car. So anyway, I'm just gonna get that weather strip off, and then basically we're just gonna take all these bolts off on that side. There's a bunch of what look like 7 mils on this side, and then I'm gonna finagle the halo out. I'm gonna need both my hands for that, and honestly, that's not gonna be that interesting to watch because it's just a series of screws and bolts. All right guys, so went ahead, I got all the bolts off. One more thing to note, so there's a couple things. There's an insulation strip here that looks like it has some clips attaching it. So I'm gonna have to get my trim removal tool to get those off. There is this metal bar that we have to remove. So obviously I had all of the bolts out, and then on the underside it has this like thin tape that got all distorted when I peeled it off. So I'm gonna put some new 3M double-sided tape on it when I transfer this over to my carbon fiber halo. But I just wanted to show you guys that so you knew kind of how that came off. Only other thing I'm gonna have to do off camera is just drill these holes out. They're stamped in the right locations already, so I'm not really too worried about it, but it's just something that I'm gonna have to do. It is worth noting that we have that metal bar on the front side, so we don't have to be too precise with these, but the ones that are on the back side, we need to be careful there, because on the back side they use a different mounting mechanism. They are direct mounted with these 7mm bolts that do have washers on them, but obviously you want to make sure you don't drill the hole out bigger than the washer, right? So, you know, drill it out enough that you can get your screw through there and give you a little wiggle room to adjust the halo itself, but obviously not too big that the washer won't grab. So anyway, that's the only other thing worth noting. I am going to just kind of fast forward to try to keep this video at a reasonable length, and we'll get this all pulled off. All right guys, so check it out. We got the halo installed, pretty straightforward. Like I said, I just had to drill all those holes, kind of finagle it in there. The way that I found that it makes it the easiest to get the halo in and out, and it really didn't take me long at all, is if you can lower your trunk hatch kind of like that, where it's half open, half shut, it'll actually balance. Mine's collapsing, of course, because I'm trying to show you guys something. But yeah, if you can get it to kind of stay like that, or prop it open with something, so it's not all the way up, because the farther up you go, look, it kind of moves over top the halo and you can't get it out, right? So what you want to do is lower it enough that you have some space in between it, right? So that once you unbolt everything, you can kind of shimmy it. You will have to pry up on this. There's some rubber foam underneath this that is connected that once you get all the bolts on the front and back off, you can just pry up on it and it will come off. Have the other one laying on the ground over here. That's pretty much all there is to it. Transfer over your weather stripping from the old one to the new one. It has 2 push pins on each side, and then the rest of it is held with double-sided tape. So I put some more double-sided tape on there that will hopefully adhere well. And then now I'm just gonna put the front weather stripping back on. So same thing as the reverse process. We have 1 screw on each side, and then we have the push pins on either side. Once I am done with that, you can see I already started taping some of my camo strips, but I'm going to put my camo wrap stuff back on. So I had a green strip here, I had a bronze strip over here, and I had a green strip on the front side of the Targa. You can see this strip here, the bronze is in there, you can't really see it, and then this green patch over here. So I'm gonna do all of that, and then I will be back and show you guys the finished product. I'm not gonna show you putting the weather stripping back on. It's super easy. Just kind of work it into this groove and whatever, line everything up, blah, blah, blah. Pretty simple. So I'm gonna do all that, and I'll finish adding the camo pieces, and I'll show you guys the finished product. All right guys, we're all done. I did the wrap, so you can see the green, the bronze, the green on the other side. We got the carbon top on. We got the EOS carbon halo on. And you know, like I said at the beginning of the video, the only kind of like bummer is that, you know, on the GM top, the weave is going one way, and then on the EOS halo, it kind of goes the other way. Not a huge deal. Fitment's pretty good. I will say the EOS halo fit a lot better than I thought it was going to. It does kind of, you do have to kind of shimmy it in place to get it to lock in all the way down. Overall, pretty good. I'm definitely happy with it. Sorry, my lighting in here is a little bit weird. I can see on my camera screen that it's making these look like 2 different shades of gray, which they are not. If I see if the light hits that one, it looks pretty much the same. It's not perfect, but I still think it looks pretty good. The carbon roof just like really sets it off. I do have a couple of other carbon bits that we're going to be adding to this car. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to tell you what those are now, but let's just say we're going to be adding some more carbon very soon. Other cool thing that I'm really happy with how this turned out is my dark gray like base color on my wrap honestly match it, like the carbon matches it really, really closely. That's kind of cool, where you just get like certain accents on the car where it's like, oh, that's a little different, you know, than everything else. Versus if I had like a lighter base color or something, it'd look a little off, you know what I mean? You just all of a sudden have all of this dark gray, but my base color is already that color, so. Anyway, stay tuned for more carbon stuff coming very soon to the channel. Like I said, we're gonna have some more stuff on the Corvette. I did get an update, by the way, on the parts for the Viper. Now, I mentioned like a while back, probably honestly last year, like last winter, so several months ago, that I had ordered a bunch of aero for the Viper. I have gotten confirmation it is in fact in production. It will be shipping in the next couple of weeks. I will have to get it painted when it comes in, but we'll do a test fit and everything on the Viper. I also have other good news with the Viper. I was able to straighten out the tune the other day completely on the dyno, on the top end. We had a belt slip issue that I had to, basically the automatic tensioners on these Paxton kits break a lot. So I bought a manual tensioner adapter kit that, that we hooked up, and got the belt to stop slipping, put a new belt on it, got the belt to stop slipping, and this car made 720 wheel horsepower and 750 wheel torque on the Heartbreaker dyno over at Freedom Motorworks, which consistently reads 5% low no matter what car we put on it. So really, really happy with those numbers. On any other dyno jet, you'd see over 750 wheel on this car, which is really sick. So I'm super stoked to drive this thing more this summer. I know we didn't really do much with it last season aside from like acquiring it, obviously. And that's because, you know, we were waiting on parts with the coilovers and the exhaust system, still waiting on the aero, had to straighten out the tune. The tune was just all out of whack. And, you know, just kind of doing maintenance stuff to try to get the car running right so that we can take it out this year and give you guys some content with it. So don't worry, haven't forgotten about the Viper. It's still here, ready and waiting at this point. Tune's all good, car runs great. We're gonna be putting some aero on it. It's gonna look absolutely phenomenal, so stay tuned for that. But that's it, I'm gonna leave you guys here. As usual, hope this video is helpful, hope this video is entertaining, and I'll see you guys next time.
Reach for the stars, 'cause we're aiming